This big building behind me is Hampden Park. Well, technically, the third Hampden Park. Scotland's national stadium, Queen's Park's home ground, and the site at which the Scottish Cup final is played every year. And in fact, the Scottish Cup final will be played here in just a few weeks. But it hasn't always been here. You might think that this behemoth in Glasgow is all there's ever been. Well, in name, yes, but in location, no. This is the story of Hampden Park, and Hampden Park. So yeah, as we explore today the three Hampden Parks that there have been and one that still remains, please do remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. I'm uploading a video every day up until Christmas, so yes, keeping you entertained throughout December. I was stuck for ideas on today's video until I saw this comment. So yeah, thanks for that. I literally saw that comment this morning. I'm now here filming and the video will be up in the same day. So yes, if you have any video ideas for me, do not be shy, get them in the comments below. If you want me to cover a certain topic or club, then I'll be more than happy to do so. Let's start off today's story here at the current Hampden Park. In more recent and modern times, we've seen some massive moments, from the Lee Griffiths / Harry Kane England-Scotland match to the crazy Scottish Cup final of 2016, I think it was, when Hibs stormed the pitch and there was an invasion after that massive, you know, that Rangers final. What a game it was, that kind of last minute header, and then the pitch invasion too. Absolutely mad scenes here in more modern times. Modern football aside, this is where Queen's Park and the national Scottish team have played their football since 1903. But the history of Hampden goes way further back than that. Before we look around the other two older Hampdens and the sites that they were on, because there's still some stuff remaining to do with them, then yeah, the kind of new modern Hampden look, you can see it kind of has a mixture of the old red brick there, and yeah, some of the new look, the William Hill sponsoring up the top. So yeah, it's been here for over 100 years now, 117 to be exact, and there's, yeah, you know, a mix of the old, which is the location that it's on, and a mix of the new with, you know, the sponsoring and the big modern stadium that it is today, and the big steel structures and stuff like that. It was built in 1903 with the aim of it becoming the biggest stadium in the world, and they didn't disappoint. It was the biggest stadium from 1903 until 1950, when the Maracanã in Brazil was built and opened. A record attendance of over 149,000 people, almost 150,000 people fit inside here for an England-Scotland game in 1937. Before this match though, records were set on a regular basis here. Numerous internationals, cup finals, old firm matches would, yeah, beat the record that was set previously, which could have just been a few years. So yeah, record after record was set. Looking back at some of those matches, some of them got in excess of 130,000 people turning up at them. Considering the population of Glasgow in the early 1900s was somewhere between 700 and 800,000 people, then yeah, that's like 20% of the population just turning up from Glasgow to watch a match here, a football match. And yeah, if that happened today, you'd need a stadium of around 300,000 to 400,000 spectators. But yeah, that is modern Hampden, if you like, and it's been around since 1903. And yeah, records were set, but nowadays the capacity is around 50,000 people. It obviously didn't always look like this. It is now a modern giant classic. But what about pre-1903? And actually, before we do make it to Hampden Park number 2, this is obviously Hampden Park number 3, main Hampden. I've not left here yet. This right next to it here, and I did say this in my Andy Robertson video, so I don't want to go over it too much, is, you could say Hampden Park number 4 even potentially, but probably Hampden Park 3.5 more like, because 3 isn't going anywhere, but the team that play here are Queen's Park. They are moving here to Lesser Hampden very shortly, and I actually think the players are training on the pitch just now. So yeah, look, this wall's been knocked down since I first came here for the building work to begin on it, but yeah, Hampden 3.5 you can call it. It's Lesser Hampden, and Hampden gets yet another ground in its name. And there's the players training, look, and the work going on there. Pretty interesting. Queen's Park, yeah, now a professional team. I think they were semi-pro before, but yeah, now going professional as they move here to Lesser Hampden. And there they are training, and there's the people working on the ground to make sure it's ready for them when they need to move in. But yeah, off to Hampden number 2 finally. Right, welcome to one of my favourite footballing sites in Scotland, Hampden Park. And yes, let me just get into the old abandoned stadium and tell you a little bit more about the history of it and why it used to be Hampden number 2. Right, so yeah, I find myself back at Hampden Park, former home of big hitters Third Lanark. Unfortunately, they're no longer with us and were disbanded back decades ago now, but used to be a massive team here in Glasgow, were very successful, won numerous trophies, but however there is now a Phoenix club that play in their honour. So yeah, they play in the kind of lower non-leagues of Scottish football. Who knows, will they get back one day? Maybe, but yes, this is the former home of the original Third Lanark. Before Third Lanark moved in 1903, rebuilt it and renamed it Hampden Park, it used to be known, this place, as Hampden Park. This is the second Hampden Park that there was. Obviously, we've just been and visited the modern one, which is the third Hampden Park. And this here, the site that I'm on now, Hampden Park, used to be called Hampden. How many times can you say Hampden Park in one video? Find out. Someone do a count and drop it in the comments. Only 150 yards from the original and the first Hampden, Queen's Park moved here. And yes, we will come to the original one in a sec. But basically they had to move away from their original home because of a railway line that was going to be due to basically cut through part of the stadium. The second Hampden opened here in 1884 and was in use until 1903. And yeah, 1903 is when Third Lanark came in, renamed it and rebuilt it. Before Third Lanark moved in and changed it all up though, it was home to Scottish national team games. They played England here in a home nations game, which was obviously massive back in the day. It was a huge fixture in that tournament. It was huge. It was between obviously the home nations here in the UK. And yeah, this place also played host to Scottish Cup finals as well. And so yeah, Queen's Park left here to move to the other Hampden, the third one, because of yeah, disputes over being able to, I think, rebuild it and yeah, I think make it bigger and stuff like that. But I think the council at the time, or whoever was in charge of that stuff, didn't allow them to do it. And yeah, they had to move to where they are now, which is obviously Hampden Park. And look at this, the grass has been cut since I've been here last time. Signs that things are moving on out of the pandemic maybe. That little red building over there that you can see, that one, that is where the home of the Jinky Johnston Academy is. Again, I've made a video there about it with yeah, some of the guys that work there and run it and stuff. And what a great academy it is. They have some amazing memorabilia in there, and it's such an unassuming little building there, like surrounded by the trees and stuff in this abandoned stadium. But yeah, some of the memorabilia from like some of the old Scottish matches and Jinky Johnston's life is absolutely unreal. So check that video out. I'll leave a card to it at the end. I'll also leave it down below in the description box as well, so you can check it out. Yeah, it's a good video. But anyway, back to Hampden Parks. Yeah, I'm now stepping foot onto the pitch of what used to be Hampden Park Stadium, Third Lanark, now used of course for the Jinky Johnston Academy. But before that, it was Hampden Park, Scotland's national stadium. It now lays abandoned, and on this rainy day has an eerie feel to it. But what about the first Hampden Park that was in use? Well, let's go and check it out. Right on cue, remember that railway line I was telling you about that was going to cut through their first stadium? Well, there it is, right on time. The train comes past, and look at that. I didn't even know this was even here until this morning. Look, on this ground, Scotland 5, England 1, 11th of March 1882, first Hampden Bowling Club. Just look at that. Right, let me get round to the bowling club and tell you a little bit more about this. But this is an insanely historic football site. And I'm so glad I got told about this. Ah, here we go. Look, I didn't even realise this was here. Right, this is quality. This should tell the story a little bit better than maybe even I can. But I will go round to the front of the bowling club and try and get another look in. So, Scotland 5, England 1 on this ground. The humble bowling club is home of Scottish and arguably world football. The passing game was born here. Hampden Bowling Club sits on the site of the first Hampden Park, home to Queen's Park and Scotland's national team from 1873 to 1884. This was the world's first purposefully built international football ground and template for all modern football stadia. What's more, this is where the Scotch professors developed the modern combination game of passing and running. The Scottish game is now played or watched by 3.5 billion people globally, and it all started here. And look at this, it's the first Hampden timeline, so between 1873 and 1884. Remember where I was just then, Hampden Park? I've got my hood up now, it's raining. Remember where I was just then, the Hampden Park? That's where they went in 1884 to 1903, so this is prior to that, the first Hampden. Between 1873 and 1884, the ground you are standing on was Scotland's Tartan Fortress. There you go, look, the first Hampden Park was established on this ground. Andrew Watson was the first black international player and international captain. He won the Scottish Cup in 1881. 1882, 10,000 spectators watch as Scotland beat England 5-1. Why have they got to put that in? Charles Campbell was a pioneer of Scottish football, president of Queen's Park, the SFA, and one of Scotland's greatest midfielders. 1884, the Cathcart District Railway builds over parts of first Hampden. Scotland beat England. Okay, let's gloss over that. And they also beat Wales 9-0, 5-1 and 5-0 on this ground during a much ignored golden age for Scottish football. Yeah, it's not ignored to me, or I guess you lot watching, so fair play. 2017, Hampden Bowling Club secretary discovers the map that confirms this site. The roof you see is thought to be from the first Hampden Pavilion, making it one of the world's most important football buildings. So that there is the roof to the original Hampden. Wow, the original home of international football. And 2019, first Hampden mural installed telling the world about this site, which is obviously just there. And I think that there is Andrew Watson. There, he is the first black international player and international captain, absolutely leading the way for the messages that we see in football today. I absolutely love that. And Charles Campbell, that is, who is the pioneer of football, president of Queen's Park, the SFA, and one of Scotland's greatest all-time midfielders. And yeah, look, Scotland 5, England 1. England love to bang on about the time that we beat Germany, 5-1, the Owen hat-trick against Kahn and all that in Germany. And look at that, Scotland should be just as proud of that result against England in what is, you know, a historic football site here. And if that doesn't prove it, then I don't know what will. What a sight, I'm buzzing to be here. Right, let's get down and have a closer look. And there it is, the famous roof of the first ever international football stadium to have ever existed. Such a football nerd, I absolutely love stuff like this. Quite amazing to think that the first ever international stadium was here. Can I go through here? Yes, I can. So yeah, quite amazing to think this is the site of the first ever international stadium. I have been to the site of the first international match. That was the West of Scotland cricket ground, so a little bit different to this. I believe they had been playing international football for some time since this was built. Maybe not that long, maybe, yeah, just like the space of a few years, but yeah, they needed a place that they could say was the home of football, and thus they tried to build, obviously, a stadium here. Things obviously get built around it during the years, houses, railway lines, but once upon a time, that building just there that's coming into shot was I guess like clubhouse or, you know, changing rooms, that kind of stuff. And there would have been a pitch around here, and I think it extended all the way up there to the railway line. The railway line cuts through part of what the stadium used to be. But yes, I am now standing on possibly part of where the pitch was for those early international games. And this is where Scotland's oldest club, Queen's Park, started playing their football. And yeah, on the 25th of October 1873, Queen's Park played a cup match here, the first game that they ever played here. And Queen's Park played at this site for about a decade, but in 1874, the first ever Scottish Cup final was played here. Just 2,500 people turned up to watch Queen's Park win the first Scottish Cup final against Clydesdale. And just listen to this match report, hang on. So yeah, listen to this, this is how mad the rules were back then. In the first half, Clydesdale controversially had a goal ruled out. Queen's Park protested when referee James McIntyre initially appeared to award a goal after Fred Anderson kicked the ball past Queen's Park goalkeeper John Dixon. There were no goal nets to catch the ball if it had been placed between the posts, and it was claimed that Anderson's shot had rebounded off a spectator's knee. Had the goal been allowed to stand, the teams would have changed ends according to rules at the time, and Clydesdale would gain the advantage of having the wind behind them. So they must have lost the toss, had to play into the wind, scored a goal, it got ruled out, and yeah, if you scored back in the day, you could change ends apparently. So yeah, how mad is that? It's mad how much the rules change over the years, but the love for the clubs, the competitions, and the sport as a whole remains. So yeah, I did actually have some facts now to tell you about the modern passing game and the first international stadium and stuff like that. But what I read out when I was up there on that little board, which kind of tells you about the history of this place, was what I wanted to say. And I wanted to wrap it up with this. Next time you're watching the World Cup final and you remember that it's being broadcast to 3 to 4 billion people around the world, do remember this place and the origins of international football and where it all kind of started. England and Scotland, the pioneers of international and modern football, the passing play, the first international stadium, even the West of Scotland cricket ground, which is in Partick, just in Glasgow. All these spots in Scotland, and specifically Glasgow, should be in your thoughts the next time you watch a massive World Cup final, because without that, we might not have the World Cup that we have today. I'll leave a link down below to the Hampden Collection website so you can find out a little bit more about this place and what they're trying to achieve. I think there's some kind of thing to try and save the roof on that famous building over there, the roof of which, of course, is the roof which stood on top of the first ever international stadium building. So yeah, it's important that we keep it for the history of Scottish football and world football as well. It's an important thing. And there's the train that's going past that bloody ruined this place. It's yeah, the reason that there is no stadium here now is because of that train track. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you have. It would really mean a lot to me, and subscribe if you aren't already. I'm getting very close to 12,000 subs, so yeah, would appreciate it if you could. Drop me a comment below if you want me to go anywhere next, or you have any ideas for videos that you want to see. Thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed filming this one, even though I'm kind of out in the rain. And yeah, look at some of the ground. It's a bit grim, but I do it for you lot to keep you entertained. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.